Hello guys, welcome back to LR Anime. Guys, please like the video and subscribe to my channel. Today is explanation of BTTH Rebirth of Emperor Yang episode number 276 based on novel. So let's start. Do you recognize me? Hearing Sheng Dong's words, Xiao Yan gently picked his eyebrows and said slowly, Lord Hui, I was one of the people you saved from the West Depression of Pingshan in the First War with Qin Huangmi Valley. Then I helped you defeat Qin Huangmi Valley. I recognized you now. Hearing the speech, Sheng Dong quickly explained what had happened between himself and Xiao Yang. Hearing this, the latter suddenly realized that after the war, Xiao Yang shared a lot of pills for them. Therefore, some of them have now reached the cultivation above the source territory. Sheng Dong has benefited a lot in front of him. But now, Sheng Dong's grandson died at his hands. I'm afraid. So it is. Thanks to your help in that war. Nodded, Xiao Yang smiled. You're welcome, sir. It's natural for you to save us from fire and water. You're very nice, but your grandson's conduct is bad and nearly hurt my friend. Fortunately, I arrived in time today, otherwise I'm afraid it will lead to a great disaster. At that time, Sheng family is afraid. Before the words fell, the pupil in Sheng Dong's eyes suddenly contracted. His kneeling body quickly sank, and his face also showed a color of panic. A few drops of cold sweat fell on his forehead, bit his teeth, and hurriedly explained. What Your Excellency said is that my grandson is to blame for this. This is him. He deserves it. When Sheng Dong returns, he will be a good student and discipline the people so that they don't have another cause of trouble. Even though he was unwilling, Sheng Dong still clenched his teeth, closed his eyes and said this paragraph. What can he do now? Xiao Yang has used the Sheng family as a threat. If he dares to disobey again, I'm afraid the family behind him will be threatened. Today, his grandson is dead when he dies. He can't find any reason or have any reason to avenge him. As he said in his own words, he is to blame. Then Sheng Dong left Yang Cheng with his nearly seriously injured body. On the street, Sheng Dong's old face was pale and unkempt. His dark eyes were full of tears. A pair of dry palms under his sleeve robe tightly clenched into fists. There was both resentment and helplessness in his heart. On both sides of the street, countless people looked at the ancestors of the Sheng family who were high in the ordinary days, and their eyes were full of surprise. The moment he stepped out of the gate, his body finally trembled, a mouthful of blood gushed out of his mouth, and the whole man almost fell to the ground. In the Thousand Medicine workshop, Xiao Yang slowly dropped the teacup, shook his head and sighed gently. Then he moved and disappeared into the Yang city. In situ, Jin Yaro looked at Xiao Yang's leaving figure and couldn't help frowning. Her jade hand gently stroked her black robe. The light in a pair of beautiful eyes twinkled. After leaving Yang Cheng, Xiao Yang continued to travel all the way west. After a few hours, he appeared in Shahepu. Today's Shahepu is undoubtedly more prosperous than a few years ago. As the junction of Shilin region and Shihuang region, it has to witness the exchanges of countless people every day, and all kinds of rare treasures are constantly exchanged. At the same time, it is also where LV Zhongtian is now. LV Zhongtian has his auction houses everywhere in today's western regions. As his base camp, Shahepu is the largest auction house here, and its prosperity is also unimaginable. The 4-level pill spirit level skills and skills that were difficult to see in the past often appear in LV Zhongtian's auction house, and sometimes even 5-level pills, Dan medicine of that level, but even some Yuanwang strong people will be moved by it, let alone just these ordinary strong people. Today, Xiao Yang came to Shei's shop to find LV Zhongtian to help him auction the pills. All the pills that need to be auctioned are above level 5. Most of them were obtained by Xiao Yang from his opponent Naji. Although some pills are of high value, it's a pity that today's Xiao Yang, both in terms of realm and eyesight, those pills are hard to get into the eyes. It's better to auction them than put them in the ring. A moment later, Xiao Yang's figure appeared in front of the largest auction house in Shahapao. The magnificent scene can be said to be the most magnificent auction house Xiao Yang has ever seen so far. This is where LV Zhongtian is located. Although there are many barriers and many arrays deliberately obstructed, with Xiao Yang's soul power, but still clearly aware of LV Zhongtian's location, he immediately smiled and walked towards an entrance of the auction store. After previous events, this time, Xiao Yan came to the door, and his eyes subconsciously fell on the two tall bodies standing upright at the door. After determining that they were indeed the people of the auction house, he secretly laughed in his heart and wanted to cross it. Wait a minute. However, just as Xiao Yangang wanted to cross the path in front of the two people stopped Xiao Yang one step at a time. Seeing this, Xiao Yang couldn't help frowning. He didn't think there would be so much trouble to enter an auction house. What? A little impatiently frowned, but this is LV Zhongtian's territory after all. Xiao Yang still held his temper and asked slowly, "Boy, if you want to enter my auction house, you can't, but you must have at least the cultivation of Huayuanjing, or auction items with a value of level 4 pills. Otherwise, you'd better return them." Hearing the speech, Xiao Yang was stunned. Unexpectedly, LV Zhongtian's threshold here is not low. There are not many strong people above Huayuanjing in the western regions. He even took this as the threshold for screening. Even the 4th level pill has become the minimum. When thinking about this, Xiao Yang couldn't help laughing. He just wanted to turn the source of qi in his body, but then his eyes turned again. A cunning light flashed across him, raised his head, looked at the two big men in front of him again, and smiled slowly. "In that case, I'll auction the pills." Hearing the speech, the two men were stunned. Looking at the ugly young man in black robes, they hesitated and asked, "Boy, you said you were going to auction level 4 pills? 4th order pill?" "No." Xiao Yang smiled and spit out words, which made the faces of the two people in front of him suddenly become gloomy. It's not a wise choice to tease them here. However, immediately after that, when the two people wanted to throw out the black-robed youth in front of them, Xiao Yang's next words made the faces of the two people suddenly dull. "In my hand, there are only 5 levels of pills." Shahepu, in a brightly lit hall, Xiao Yang sat lazily in a chair, glancing up and down at the layout of the hall, and his eyes were not surprised. LV Zhongtian's life in recent years has also been flourishing. The reception hall is quite unique. Everything from the building materials to the array layout in the hall has its own uniqueness. From the array layout here alone, the strong below Yuan Wang will pay a lot if they want to make trouble here. While Xiao Yang was looking around, outside the hall, an old man came quickly. Before the man arrived, the voice of slightly sorry words had already come. "Hehe, I'm really sorry to have kept you waiting. I'm in charge here. Because our president is presiding over the auction at the front desk, I accidentally ignored you, sir. Don't blame me." At the same time, the old man's figure had come to Xiao Yang. Seeing such a young black-robed young man in front of him, the old man couldn't help showing a look of surprise. He didn't expect that the customer who wanted to auction the 5th order pill would be a young man. "Sir, do you really want to auction level 5 pills?" After a long time, the old man spoke slowly with suspicion on his face. He was really unbelievable. How could such a young man get the 5th level pill? Even if he did, how could he be willing to get it to the auction house? Wouldn't he be afraid of others killing and looting? Seeing this, Xiao Yang smiled non-committally, didn't say much, but bent his fingers, and received the ring between his fingers. Then, dozens of jade bottles containing pills appeared on the tea table. There were a lot of more than 30 jade bottles, and among each jade bottle, there was at least 1 pill, all of which were level 5 pills. Looking at the pile of jade bottles that were about to fill the whole table, the old man was stunned. Even in Xiao Yang's smiling eyes, he quickly picked up one of the jade bottles, opened it and carefully checked the pills. With the opening of the jade bottle, a strong smell of Dan immediately poured out of it. The special medicine contained in it made the old man's spirit swing. Naturally, he has seen a lot of 5th order pills. Although this one in front of him is not the best, if compared with the 5th order pills, this quality is definitely good. It's really level 5. Finally, the old man nodded solemnly, and his deep eyes slowly swept over the rest of the jade bottles. At the same time, there was a color of horror on his face. There was no doubt that since even a bottle of pills he randomly selected was level 5, the quality of the rest of the pills was naturally beyond doubt. And these more than 30 pills are all level 5 pills. If such a quantity appears in the western regions at one time, it will cause a great sensation. My lord, are you really sure that all these pills will be auctioned? After confirming the rank of these pills, the old man can no longer underestimate the seemingly ordinary young man in black robe in front of him. It is impossible for an ordinary person to take out so many 5-level pills at one time. After all, even with the information of their auction house, the number of 5-level pills in today's inventory, but it was only 2 hands. Therefore, the old man could conclude at the moment that the young man in black was by no means ordinary. Auction it all. It's no use for me to keep it. In addition, I hope this matter can be solved within half a month. Hearing Xiao Yang's words, the old man was stunned. He naturally knew the value of the 5th order pill, but the young man in black robe said that it was useless to keep it. If such words were spread to an ordinary person's ears, he might be half angry with each other, and what shocked him most was, Xiao Yang even asked to auction all these pills within half a month. This request has lived most of his life. It's the first time I've heard of it. There was no hurry to put away the jade bottles in front of him. The old man sat opposite Xiao Yang with a smile on his face. He smiled cautiously with Xiao Yang. In his heart, he could only anxiously wait for the president of his family to come in time. I'm afraid only he could resist such scenes. About an hour later, Xiao Yang's eyes finally looked out of the hall again. In his soul perception, a slightly familiar breath was coming here quickly, and the owner of the breath was LV Zhongtian. At the same time, the old man sitting opposite Xiao Yang also noticed the latter's arrival. At present, the nervous mood in his heart was a little relaxed and hurried to meet him with a smile on his face. Wang Xian, what happened? Outside the hall, seeing the steward who quickly came forward, LV Zhongtian frowned and hurriedly asked. Wang Xian also dared not be careless. He quickly told LV Zhongtian what had just happened. When the latter heard the speech, he couldn't help showing a look of surprise. Even if he looked up at the mysterious young man in black in the hall at the moment. However, when his eyes fell on the figure in black robe who had already got up, his expression gradually solidified. In the hall, Xiao Yang smiled at LV Zhongtian, who had not changed much a few years ago, and slowly said, I haven't seen you for 3 years. How are you recently? Naturally, thanks to you, I can have today and today's cultivation. After a pause, LV Zhongtian smiled and slowly opened his mouth. In 3 years, with the help of the pills given by Xiao Yang and some opportunities, LV Zhongtian's cultivation has reached the realm of the Source King. Compared with Bai Haoshuan, the elder ancestor of the Bai family, LV Zhongtian came forward and looked down at the pills filled on the table. I couldn't help laughing. No wonder the steward of my auction house is scared like this. Looking at the whole western region, I'm afraid you're the only one who can take out such a hand. As soon as he said this, Xiao Yang couldn't help laughing. Immediately, LV Zhongtian said again, Tell me, what are you doing auctioning so many pills? In your capacity, you don't look like a person who is short of money. I want to establish influence in the western regions, but my personal financial resources are not enough, so I intend to auction these pills. Hearing the speech, LV Zhongtian immediately picked up his eyebrows and was surprised in his eyes. He didn't expect to see Xiao Yang again now. He had such a plan. Don't think about it. He also knew what would happen in the future. The forces Xiao Yang wanted to establish will inevitably dominate the whole western region. Can I help you? That's why I came to Shay's shop this time. First, I wanted to ask you to help auction the pills. Second, I wanted to form an alliance with your forces. Xiao Yang smiled calmly. If he could unite LV Zhongtian, the growth rate of Xiao Men would be extremely terrible. When he left, he would not have to worry about everything in the western regions. Ha, that won't work. However, LV Zhongtian's answer made Xiao Yang a little stunned, which was unexpected. If LV Zhongtian didn't want to, I think it's better to join the alliance directly. When Xiao Yang saw LV Zhongtian, Tianying and others in Yangcheng took the spirit stone Xiao Yang gave them and quickly purchased all the shops in the city. The news that Xiao Yang was going to establish Xiaomen spread quickly in Shilin region as if it had wings. On the other side of Lengbing's the latter rushed directly to the western wasteland region, pointing directly at Murong family and the establishment of Xiaomen, Not only does it need the support of the big and small forces in the Shilin region, but as the Murong family who lives in seclusion in the western wilderness region, it has also become their goal to win over this time, especially with the relationship of cold and frost. Xiao Yang believes that there should be a good chance to win the alliance between the Murong family and the Xiao men. When the news spread from all sides, the name of Xiao Yang swept through the western regions again. Countless forces were shocked by the name again. They recalled the amazing battle 3 years ago. Qin Huangmi Valley, an old overlord in the western regions, was strongly disintegrated by Xiao Yang. Since then, Xiao Yang suddenly lost the news. I thought the situation in the western regions was over, and many strong people poured out one after another. The major forces are competing for the first place. Now, the latter returns again. As soon as he makes a move, he shocked the western regions. It seems that he is going to become the first overlord in the western regions. This makes many forces think about it secretly. A few days later, outside Yangcheng, in Shengjiao Manor, Sheng Dong listened to the news of the clan and felt very heavy. His grandson died in the hands of Xiao Yang. He had nothing to do with the latter. Xiao Yang's upcoming Xiao men once again threatened the existence of his Sheng family. Now Yangcheng is the headquarters of the Xiao men. Once the Xiao men is prosperous, it will become the overlord power in the western regions, and now his Sheng family is so close to the Xiao men, once anything contrary is done, it will be found immediately. At that time, it will be difficult for his Sheng family to protect themselves. Alas! A few days ago, driven by Xiao Yang, the injury in his body has not healed. Now when he thinks of this, Sheng Dong's face becomes more and more pale. Father! Kaya died at the hands of Xiao Yang. Now he's even aggressive and wants to kill my Sheng family. We can't just wait to die, even if we're going to die. Pa! On one side, the middle-aged man angrily scolded, but before his words fell, he was severely slapped to the ground by Sheng Dong. His pale old face was full of a look of hatred for iron and steel. Bastard! Kaya is dead. Do you want to take my Sheng family's clan blood to die? Sheng Dong's face was full of anger, and several desires appeared in his eyes, but in the end, he was pressed down by him. Do you know why the Bai family can achieve their present status? Who knows? The Bai family was only the last in the 4 families under the command of Tianjian clan. They are not even qualified to participate in all kinds of matters in the clan. But now, I will never forget the killing of my grandson by Xiao Yang, but I can't do it with all my heart if I want revenge. Sheng Dong took a deep breath, and then slowly spit it out. The look on his old face gradually returned to nature. A smile appeared on his pale old face, picked up the fallen middle-aged man and slowly said, "It's my news. From today on, I will be a subsidiary of Xiao men." The next day, the news about Sheng's family's attachment to Xiao men quickly spread in Shilin region. Even if countless forces instigated it, soon, some family forces with slight reputation expressed their position to join Xiao men. For a time, Shilin region was filled with flags belonging to Xiao men. In the Yang city, the magnificent hall rose from the ground, and the attics were built rapidly. In less than half a month, all the shops and small shops in the whole Yang city were demolished and replaced with the Zongmen Hall belonging to the Xiaomen Gate. Outside the gate to the east of the Yang city, a huge black rock was even erected. Look closely, it looks like this rock, it is the same as Xiao Yang's Xian heavy ruler, and on this rock, the word Xiao Men is engraved in gold. On the other hand, in the Shay shop, LV Zhongtian's half-month auction is also in full swing. Dozens of fifth-order pills, like this, have alerted many hidden family forces in the western regions. Among those people, there are even several strong people who have achieved the great territory of the Source King. This situation can make LV Zhongtian afraid to be careless. The auction of 5 rank pills for half a month in a row is the first grand occasion in the western regions in a century. In the auction house, there are only 100 people in such a large space. The general situation seems bleak, but in fact, these people here already include most of the strong people in the western regions. If these people can screw together, they can definitely be called a terrorist force. But they all came for the 5-step pill. Everyone, the next thing to be auctioned is today's finale item. It is also a 5th-order pill called Broken Mirror Pill. On the auction platform, LV Zhongtian again took out a jade bottle from the ring. There are still many such jade bottles in his ring. However, in order to strive for the greatest interests, he still keeps the practice of auctioning only 3 pieces a day. In this way, he can not only meet Xiao Yang's requirements, but also maximize the value of pills. Naturally, it is the best of both worlds. When the word broken mirror pill was spread, there was a hiss of cold air in the auction hall. Naturally, everyone knows the role of broken mirror pill. It is a 5-level pill that can make the strong in Huiyuan territory break through to return to the source territory. There are many strong people in the later stage of Huiyuan territory sitting here. When you see this broken mirror pill, his eyes couldn't help showing a hot look. Of course, in addition to them, several Yuanwang strong men in the front row are also eyeing this broken mirror pill. Among their respective families, naturally, there are many young people who are about to reach the later stage of Yuanjing cultivation, or some deacon elders. If they can bring this broken mirror pill back, it will naturally help them improve their strength. This kind of self-interest, these strong people will not easily miss. The reserve price is 1,000 intermediate spirit stones. Each time the price is increased, it shall not be less than 100. 50,000 is the top. Please. Although the baby is good, the price has changed the faces of many people here. The competitive auction in recent days has made them consume a lot of spiritual stones, and even some people have exhausted their family wealth. At this moment, even the strong Yuan Wang in the front row can't help changing their faces after hearing the price quoted by LV Zhongtian. Obviously, even they feel the same difficulty. In the auction house, several people sitting in the front row looked at each other, and their eyes flashed a sinister look. Then, they looked back at the auction platform at the moment, and looked at LV Zhongtian on the platform with a slightly bad look. One of the old people hesitated a little, which was the way. President Liu, although we all know that this broken mirror pill is valuable, some lions are open to you for raising the price. These days we all look at the 5th level pill, so we didn't say much, but if you continue to bid up the high price, don't blame us for not buying it. The old man's voice fell, and his slightly threatening eyes slowly swept over the people behind him. He noticed the cold eyes of the old man. The people who were going to bid suddenly showed a look of fear, and immediately fell silent. Although the rules of the auction house forbid anyone to make threatening means here, they are strong at Yuanwang level after all. Naturally, no one can stop what these people want to do. Then, with a sneer on his face, the old man turned his eyes again to the auction platform at this time, smiled and looked at LV Zhongtian, whose face was gloomy at the moment, with no fear in his eyes. Sorry, I just follow the customer's arrangement. If you are willing, you can bid for the auction. If you are not willing, please leave here. LV Zhongtian naturally understood the meaning of these guys' words. They just wanted to reduce the auction price of pills and take them away at a low price. The threat in their eyes was not only to those auctioneers, but also to him. I'm afraid if he doesn't want to reduce the price, this guy will influence the wishes of those behind him. In this way, the pill can't be auctioned. Hearing LV Zhongtian's words, the old man under the stage immediately showed an unhappy look on his face, stood up, stared at LV Zhongtian with a pair of cloudy old eyes and said coldly, LV Zhongtian, I advise you not to be too arrogant. I know what Xiaomen you joined, but it's not enough for you to rely on. It's just the mutual establishment of several source kings. If you really want to compete, my major families are not afraid at all. You'd better not give it to yourself. You seem too confident in yourself. However, at this time, a plain word suddenly came from somewhere in the auction house. Although the voice was small, it was enough to attract the attention of everyone present at the moment. Even LV Zhongtian on the auction platform looked at the past with suspicion. He knew that Xiao Yang was not in Shay's shop, and the voice did not belong to him. When everyone looked at the scene, a man, 2 women and 3 figures were slowly getting up in a corner of the auction house. At a glance, the woman was impressively cold and frost. No doubt, as for the middle-aged man, the responsibility was a blue robe, sword eyebrows, and stars, and his eyes were staring at the old man who had just spoken. Who are you? Noticing the 3 people who got up, the old man frowned, his heart sank slightly, and a bad feeling immediately rose. I'm Xiao Men, Murong Hao. After a brief pause, the middle-aged man made a sound slowly. At the same time when his voice fell in his mouth, a powerful momentum comparable to the king of the seven-star source spread out from his body, making everyone present suddenly change their faces, and the old man's face turned white at the moment when Murong Hao's sentence fell. Murong Hao is the fourth of Murong's family. As for the woman close to the right of Lung Bingshuang, it is Murong Qianqian who has been in the family for 3 years. After listening to the word Xiao Men, he felt the majestic momentum in Murong Hao's body. The old man suddenly felt a panic. He didn't expect that there would be other strong men of Xiao Men besides LV Zhongtian. What's more, he was still a king of 7-star source. At this moment, even several other Yuan Wang Chong beside the old man changed their faces. After some hesitation, they quickly changed their seats, so as to distance themselves from the old man. Seeing this, the muscles on the old man's face couldn't help twitching and scolding in his heart. After a sharp turn of his eyes, he looked at Murong Hao with an awkward smile. He said, "Just now, I was just angry. I didn't mean to insult Xiao Men. I hope you don't blame me. As for this pill, the employer of this pill is the leader of Xiao Men." Seeing the old man's active submission, LV Zhongtian on the stage couldn't help sneering. As soon as his voice fell, the old man's body, which was easy to retreat, suddenly stiffened and didn't move. 2 cold eyes behind him suddenly shot at him, which made the old man's thin body tremble, and a cold sweat poured out of his body immediately. Then he hurried. "In that case, I'll take this pill. I wonder how much Sir is willing to offer." LV Zhongtian jokingly smiled and said, 10,000. 50,000. I'll pay 50,000. As soon as the old man's voice fell, his face immediately changed. Then he hurried to change his mouth. He didn't care so much. Under the attention of everyone on the court, he quickly took out all the remaining spirit stones in Naji. After taking the pill, he hurried away. In front of a 7-star Source King, his cultivation for the first time entering the Source King is too unbearable. If the old man still dares not to know the truth, he can't imagine the result. Looking at the old man who left in a hurry like running for his life, the other Yuanwang strong men present subconsciously looked at each other. The remaining light in the corner of their eyes from time to time left Murong Hao behind. They were very nervous. It seemed that they were afraid that this guy would fall on them again. Fortunately, however, the matter was over, the auction officially ended, and Murong Hao and others left with them. The cold sweat condensed on their foreheads fell. At the same time, they were relieved, forgot bitterly, and looked at their LV Zhongtian with a smile on their eyes, and then left quickly. "Fourth uncle, why didn't you just end up with that old man? He dares to look down on Xiao Men." On the street, Murong Hao and his party walked slowly. Once Shahapao passed, it was time to go to Yangcheng. At that time, he would be able to meet with the master of Xiao Men. "Haha, you girl, how can you be more and more irritable? It's a means to deal with the enemy by controlling violence with violence, but that man just speaks unkindly to Xiao Men. I have no reason to really treat him. Now it's time for Xiao Men to establish his prestige in the western regions. We must not affect the overall situation because of this small matter." Hearing the speech, Murong Hao smiled and shook his warm palm on Murong Qianqian's small head. Looking at the depressed appearance of the girl, he immediately laughed twice, and then led the two to walk quickly in the direction of Xiao Men. In the twinkling of an eye, the half-month period has come. In the original Yang city and now Xiao Men, countless strong people are gathering here. Most of these people are the heads of various forces in the western region, or the head of a clan, or the head of a family, from the Source King to the Fighting Emperor. This scene is the first in the western region in 1,000 years. In half a month, Xiao Men used all the profits obtained from the auction of pills to recruit troops and horses in the western regions. Under the supervision of Tianying and others, there are nearly 100 strong men who have cultivated more than fighting the emperor, and there are dozens of strong men at the level of transforming the source territory and returning to the source territory. Compared with the original Qin Huangmi Valley, it is not a bit stronger. Coupled with the continuous participation of external forces, today Xiao Men seems to have become the #1 force in the western regions. In the main hall of Xiao Men, there was no one in the first hall. The next people sat in separate seats. Cold Frost White Birch and others were in the column. However, the 5 Tianning brothers stood behind Cold Frost at the moment. Naturally, they couldn't be lazy as usual. At this time, behind the White Birch, the smart Murong Qianqian's delicate body was lying on the back of the White Birch. A pair of spiritual eyes looked at the people on the field from time to time. When the eyes turned to the White Birch in front of her, the corners of her mouth could not help but show a smile. Aware of this, the White Birch also gently raised her hand and stroked the girl's delicate jade hand. This scene appeared in the field. Many people were envious. Facing the Cold Frost at this time, Murong Hao looked at the 2 people who were tired of being crooked. He couldn't help glancing at his mouth. Although he wanted to stop it, the girl had grown up after all and couldn't ask them to discipline everything. Moreover, the young man named Bai Hua seemed to be good. He had reached the realm of Yuan Wang at a young age. What happened between them? A thought flashed in his heart. Murong Hao shook his head and sighed. Seeing the Cold Frost, he couldn't help smiling. When his eyes turned, he saw 3 figures in white robes. They were coming late. These were the 3 ancestors and grandchildren of the Bai family. After several hesitations, the Bai family joined the Xiaomen. After all, now the Xiaomen is gaining momentum and forces from all sides continue to join. If there is any hesitation, I'm afraid the threat of Xiao Yang will really fall on them. At the moment, when the 3 entered the hall, their eyes immediately swept to the first place. When they saw the empty position, they relaxed, arched their hands towards the Cold Frost, and wanted to go to several remaining seats on one side of the hall. Hihi, since you are here, don't you want to say hello to me? However, just at this time, behind the 3 members of the Bai family, a young figure dressed in black suddenly appeared. At the same time, the familiar laughter also came from his mouth. This is Xiao Yang. Door Master. The grandparents and grandchildren reacted very quickly. When they turned to see Xiao Yang, the title in their mouth was changed immediately. In a word, the relationship between the 2 sides was much closer. Seeing this, Xiao Yang smiled and nodded. While looking around, the others present also got up quickly, and their eyes with surprise and awe also shot quickly. Just relying on Xiao Yang's skill just now, he has shown his own strength, that terrible speed, but no one present can compare with it. When several Yuan Wang Chong in the end, they can't help but be surprised. In front of Xiao Yang, not only is his face much younger than they imagined, but also his cultivation is so powerful, at least with their current strength alone, they can't see the depth of Xiao Yang in front of them. At this moment, even Murong Hao looked at Xiao Yang with a dignified face. With his cultivation, he naturally could vaguely detect the breath of Xiao Yang now, as if he had crossed the realm of the Source King and reached a higher level. This boy. Haven't seen you for several years. Has Shouwei stepped into the Source Emperor? It's really terrible. At the same time, Xiao Yang also found Murong Hao's existence. His eyes lifted up and his eyes fell on the latter. In an instant, an invisible pressure suddenly fell on Murong Hao's head, making his face slightly changed, but then, Xiao Yang showed a soft smile on his face and looked between Lung Bingshuang and him. It seems that Lung Bingshuang rushed to Murong's house this time and got much better results than he thought. After making a polite gesture to the people present, Xiao Yang walked slowly towards the first seat above the hall. Then, the people present looked around him until Xiao Yang sat down. They all sat down one by one. This scene was quite dignified. Hihi, you are all heroes of the Western regions. It's my honor to be here with Xiao Yang today. Above the first seat, Xiao Yang glanced slowly across the audience, then gently hugged his fist and said. As soon as this remark came out, many people present couldn't help smiling. Although everyone here knows that this is only a compliment, who will be angry after listening to the good words. However, I also know that although all of you have come to Xiaomen today, I believe many people still hold a hesitant attitude. If so, I won't embarrass you. If someone wants to leave now, Xiao Yang will never stop. Then Xiao Yang spoke again. These words made some people's faces slightly change. When hesitating, Murong Hao sitting opposite the Cold Frost suddenly got up slowly, faced Xiao Yang, arched his hands and said, Murong family, Murong Hao, give a message to the patriarch. Murong family will fully support the establishment of Xiaomen, While the words in his mouth fell, a faint momentum and pressure also filled his body. 7-star Source King. When several Yuanwang strong men present noticed this, their faces suddenly changed sharply, and the only hesitation in their hearts was completely eliminated under the pressure of this momentum. LV Zhongtian is willing to join Xiao Men. Then, LV Zhongtian, who followed Murong Hao, got up, and the prominent words in his mouth quickly led to the later strong ones. I'll win, and join Xiao Men on behalf of the Bai family. First, a mysterious 7-star Source King, then LV Zhongtian, plus Xiao Yang and others. The situation on the field has been very obvious. Naturally, the Bai family has no reason to hesitate. Even if they don't want to join, they still have to nod now. Then, in the hall, a series of shouts rang out. Old man Zheng Tiannan, on behalf of my Zheng family, join Xiao Men. I, Xiao Xing, would like to join Xiao Men. With the establishment of Xiao Men, most of the forces in the western regions have been incorporated into Xiao Men. In less than a month, the overall forces of Xiao Men have spread all over the western regions. All cities and mines belong to Xiaomen's banner. With the continuous recruitment of strong people, the details of Xiao Men are becoming stronger and stronger day by day. All matters in the door are gradually on the right track, and at this time, what everyone doesn't know is that Xiao Yang quietly returned to the southern region with Xiao Yixian and others. In the wild ancient city, Xiao Yang and others are walking slowly in the streets. At a glance, the flow of people in the city seems to be much more than usual, especially the number of high-ranking strong people, which is afraid to double compared with the past. Looking at the scene in front of him, Xiao Yang couldn't help picking his eyebrows, and a look of surprise flashed in his eyes. We just left. One side, Birch suddenly frowned and made a sound, which attracted Xiao Yang's eyes. If we really make a positive explanation with them, I'm afraid it will be more troublesome. In this way, they can at least stay in the western regions safely. Xiao Yang shook his head slightly. For the news that they left, Xiao Yang didn't say cold frost positively. He knew that once he said it, it might not be so easy to leave. Although it was a little sorry, it could still save some trouble. On one side, the little Dr. Fairy listened to the dialogue between the two. In a pair of beautiful eyes, there was a faint light passing by. At the same time, in the western regions, deep in the Shilin Mountains, Cold Frost is looking at the jade slips in her hand with worry. Since Xiao Yang left the Shilin Mountains, the jade slips have fallen into her hands. She even knew that Xiao Yang was going to the middle regions. All this was told to her by Xiao Yixian. Although there were all kinds of complaints in her heart, she also knew that Xiao Yang did it for her good, including the establishment of Xiao Gate, and the purpose was to protect her integrity. After all, just as Xiao Yixian said, the Tianwei family was eyeing her. Once she appeared in the middle region, I'm afraid it would bring countless troubles to Xiao Yang. Alas! Xiao Yang thinks of her. Lung Bingshuang can naturally understand, but she is not so. Southern region, wild ancient city. Looking at the large number of figures leaping from outside the city, Xiao Yang could not help frowning. He wondered what had happened here, which could attract a large number of strong people to appear here. Damn it, why is the void thunder pool empty? There is no thunder left in it. What happened? It's really a moth. This kind of thing has never happened in the past void minefield. Does it have something to do with the soul pressure on Mount Gree? Who knows? Although I don't know which strong person left it, it's really a good baby, but as far as the soul pressure is concerned, even if the cultivation reaches the source state, it can only be understood reluctantly. Like you and me, I can't stand looking more. What's the point of understanding? Back in the city, a group of strong men constantly scolded and spent a lot of time competing for the Void Thunder Pool post. Now, although the Void Thunder Pool is open, everyone is stunned by the situation inside. The original force of thunder is nothing left, and in terms of the situation, it is obviously man-made. It was so angry that everyone wanted to tear up the guy who absorbed all the power of thunder. Xiao Yang listened to those angrily, and could not help but get his old face red. He felt his nose involuntarily, and the white birch and the little medical fairy laughed. For this thing, they had already heard Xiao Yang, but at the moment they could not help laughing. Cough, I didn't do that. I didn't expect the North King to absorb all the power of thunder. They should tear the North King even if they want to tear it. By the way, where's Liana? Niz doesn't run slowly, but she doesn't know to wait for us. When they turned their heads, they found that Liana, who was walking in front of them, had disappeared. When Xiao Yang diffused his soul power to look for it, their eyebrows suddenly wrinkled. The little medical fairy and Bai Hua on one side could not help frowning and looking at each other. Their figure trembled slightly, and they disappeared in place. Hey, the little girl looks good. I don't know which girl she is, but she's willing to let it out. On the street, right in front of Liana at the moment, a thin and pale young man was looking at Liana like a green lotus blooming in front of him with an unkind face. Around him, 2 other people stopped her from behind the girl. The 3 brothers came to the wild ancient city this time for the purpose of the empty thunder pool, but who knows that they got nothing after entering. When they are upset, Liana happened to bump into them. Ha ha ha, my heart is on fire. I'm thinking about where to put out the fire, but I didn't expect you to bump into it. Since you're all here, you might as well have a good time with me. Behind him, a young man with a grey face gave an obscene smile, licked his lips with his scarlet tongue, and grabbed Liana's slender arm. At this time, Xiao Yang and others had already appeared behind the 3 people. Their faces were indifferent. Just when they wanted to hand, they were surrounded in the middle by the 3 people. Liana, with a frightened face, suddenly raised his arm. While beating back the young man's extended hand, a purple energy competition came out, then he bombarded the chest of the young man behind him. Then Xiao Yang's face changed slightly. When his figure moved around, the young man's body was blasted out by the force, and in the twinkling of an eye it had turned into serious injury. Looking at this scene in front of them, Xiao Yang and the 3 people couldn't help but be a little surprised. They wanted to protect the girl, but they seemed to forget that the 3 people who wanted to hurt him were just 3 ordinary fighting emperors. But now Liana's cultivation has reached the source of change. Under such strength, they naturally don't have to fear these so-called strong ones. With this in mind, the 3 couldn't help looking at each other, and then smiled wistfully. They just wanted to protect the girl, but sometimes they had forgotten that if they wanted to make her no longer exposed to any danger, they needed to let her experience the process of growth by herself. Let's go back to the burning valley. The 3 ignored the 2 young people who were in the same place. The little medical fairy came forward and took Liana's jade hand, and the party gradually moved away. For a long time, the bodies of the 2 young people suddenly softened, and after falling to the ground, they were silent again. This video will end here.